Hello beautiful souls. I will be sharing a new digital file, an SVG file that Raquel from Paints and Glitter had designed. It is a hat box and it's the cutest thing. I mean, it's so adorable. I will have all the links in the description box below, and I will also be doing a tutorial in how to assemble it. She too has a tutorial in how she assembled it, but everybody assembles it differently. So I will be sharing how I personally assembled it. And I highly suggest for you to watch the whole video because I did a few boo-boos. And not only that, I apologize in advance because I added information that probably could have been added in the beginning of the, before I started the tutorial. Anyway, it is what it is. So this is what the hat box looks like. I love, love, love this design. I love it, and I did add a pocket. It doesn't come with a pocket, but of course you can always add it on later. You can add on other things, as you create it. It does come, the PNG file, which is the printable file, comes with these tags. It comes in 3 different languages. This one is English, of course. I will show you the one in Spanish, and there is another one in French, which they all mean for you. Isn't this adorable? Oh my word, these are so cute. And I created this tassel here. I created these like shabby trim lace bows, and these are using scraps. And here's what they look like before I actually put the tassel on. Aren't they pretty? And I added the jump ring so that I can create tassels. Actually, originally I only added this, and then I decided to add a tassel because it looked a little too plain for me. So these are the tassels, the shabby bow charms or embellishments using scraps. I will have a separate video on those, but this is about Raquel's design and I want to keep it that way. So here, these are so cute. It comes with extra elements that you can decorate your box with. This has a magnet, and you cover the inside too, so this makes it a lot sturdier. Even though you're using cardstock, once you add on layers and layers and layers, it does make it a lot sturdier. And that's how I like to create my digitals as well. The 3D digitals, I love to do that. And I made a boo-boo here, I got to clean that up. But look how pretty. I love it. I love, love, love. And I had forgotten that ay Dios mío, I had forgotten that I had put a magnet here, and I went and punched the holes to create a closure. So I just left it like that, and it still closes pretty nicely. And actually you don't really have to add a closure because it has a nice tight fit to it, and it keeps everything closed anyway. I love it. So this is the first one I created. I went a little bit I was a little bit obsessed, so I made 5, and one of them is actually a bigger size, which is great about an SVG file because you can size it as big or as small as you want. This is the printed file, and it's a little bit smaller than the SVG file, but there's really not that much of a difference. And then here's the other one I did, and this one has a closure here in the front. So you can decide how you want to do your closure, and this element here does come with the file. But of course you can do your own as well. We always do. Here's another shabby lace bow tassel charm. So pretty here. I also created a pocket to put a note tag. And here's the other one. This one says para ti, which is a Spanish word which also means for you. Isn't that pretty? And I did back it up with another piece of cardstock, so it has a border around it. So pretty. I love, 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 love these boxes, and I added trim here on the bottom. So here I didn't add the trim. Here I added, you know, the elements that the file comes with, and here I added a trim. What else? This one here. This one I didn't do that much to it, and here's another one. So pretty. I love these boxes. And then here's the fourth one. So pretty. And here I have these dies that are actually buckles. I got these from AliExpress. You can do a research on these. I don't have links for them. But isn't that pretty, that buckle? So this one here, it's actually, because I couldn't put it this way because it's, you know, it's too long. And this one would have been too small, you know. So I just, you know, turned it over this way. I cut this part off, and then I just added another strip here of the gold foil paper, you know, to give it that buckle look. So that's all I did there. Pretty. So pretty. And the tie is up here as well. And then the last one I did is bigger. So you're going to see, you know, this one I used the printed file. This one and this one was the printed file. These were the SVG files. And this one was the SVG file. So you can see here the difference in size. One is bigger than the other. So I did make it bigger. And I didn't add a pocket here yet. So let me show you from the back, since the front is highly, you know, greatly decorated. You can pretty much see better the size here from this angle. Okay, I'll add that back on later. So there it is. And here I used eyelet trim to decorate around. And here is a different tassel. So I used the same shabby bow, and I added a paper bead that I had created, and then I added the tassel down here. Isn't that pretty? I love it. And here's this embellishment here. And here I did another buckle there, which was this size here. So pretty. And again, the tie is up here. Okay, so I'm going to share the papers and the printed papers, and then on with the tutorial. These are the printed files. For those of you who do not own a digital cutting machine, such as a Silhouette Cameo or Cricut Explore or a Brother Scan and Cut, so on and so forth. These here are the base files. So this would be, you would print this out one each. So one of these and one of these. This is the front and back. These are the sides. This is the bottom right here. This is the bottom. And this is the lip that goes inside so that it could have a nice closure. Okay, and then these are extra like tags. All right, so anyway, when I cut out the pieces, you'll know what part is, you know, which piece is which piece. Now this here, these are the layering pieces, you know, the parts that decorate the hat box. Now what you want to do is you want to print this on the underside of your designer paper. This one I did, this is the landscape one, because this is the front and back, and because this one has direction, it has wording in it, I want to make sure that when I place it on the hat box that all the words are facing upright. Okay, and then this one is a portrait size. So, you know, if you don't, if this is going to confuse you, then I highly suggest do not use any designer paper or digital paper that is directional. You could also cut down your 12 by 12 to an 8.5 by 11 to feed into your printer. But you will print on the white side of your designer paper because you don't want these lines showing there, okay? And then this is the last layering piece, and this also was printed on the portrait size. So that's just, you know, a little guide to help you along the way before you actually put this together. So here I have all the pieces cut out, and I want to share another tip or idea. If you don't want your base to be stark white, the other alternative is the same way I printed the outline on the white part of the designer paper. You can do that with this as well. As you can see here, the base here, it is a designer paper. It's not stark white. This, you know. Here also, this one is pink. I'm going to show you this one because it's more prominent. You can see it better. So that is pink. So you will print the base on the underside of your designer paper. I failed to share that when I was showing the printed pages before they got cut. So since I had already printed it out this way, of course I'm going to utilize it. I'm not going to let it go to waste. But that was the reason why I made extra boxes, so that you can see other options other than just printing on a stark white cardstock. The other option too is that you can print it on a solid color. Like, say for instance, I could have probably printed this on a very light blue color because there is blue in here, you know, for the contrast so that it can match. So that's another alternative, another option. So, okay, so these are all my layering pieces. I'm going to set that aside. And of course, you do have to score on those dashed lines. When you purchase the SVG file, it's already going to come where the machine will perforate it, and that's your score guide. And, you know, so I went ahead and did all the scoring here, okay? What I like to do first is I always like to glue the handle, you know, when there's a layer on the handle. I like to do that first because by the time I finish assembling the hat box or any 3D project that has a handle, this makes it nice and stiff. It's nice and stiff already, and I don't have to wait for it to get stiff. Like this one, for instance, I did ahead of time, and this is really nice and stiff, and you know the shape stayed. So I always like to prepare the handle first. And these right here are fold lines. So I'm going to do that first because I didn't score that, and it's going to be hid so you won't be able to see it. On the SVG file, this would already be perforated as your score guide, so you don't have to, you know, do it ahead of time. Fold it ahead of time. That to the side. Let that cure. Now we're going to work on the base. So I'm going to fold and crease the flaps going in, you know, hiding the dashes there. Okay. I'm going to assemble mine a little bit differently than Raquel did. We're all going to find different ways on how to assemble this that we feel is the best way for us. So I'm going to do that here. And I have my reasons, and I will share that as I go along. that this is the bottom of your hat box, okay? And you saw me flipping this because I just remember that this has the outline and I want to put that towards the inside. I don't want it to be shown on the outside. I'm also going to layer this piece on top. Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and layer this piece on top. Okay, so I do want to add that I did distress all the pieces here. And what I've used is this ink. It has the shape of the, what kind of ink? The Memento. It has the same shape, but this I got from AliExpress. And I only bought one because I wanted to see, you know, how it was going to work or how it was going to look or the color, you know, how it was going to react with the paper. But I am going to definitely invest on more because this is not like a regular ink. It's like a chalky ink and I love it. I absolutely love the ink. It's called Luxury. This one is Pixie Dust. The color of this is called... Oh! I've had it for a while and I didn't even read it. It says chalk ink. So I was right with the consistency. I'm just realizing that it said chalk ink. And I've had it for a while and I've used it already. And didn't even bother to read that. It says up here, water drop. Is real tiny so you won't be able to see it in the camera. But since I can see it, I'll read it to you. Water drop, multi-surface, chalk ink, Luxury is the name of the brand. Pixie Dust is the name. I guess it's the name of this color. It has an LD-08. So if anybody's interested, look it up on AliExpress. I love this ink. You have no idea how much I love this ink. And I will now definitely invest on some more in different colors. But look at the vibrance of that ink. It's really pretty. Okay, so I've done that. I'm going to go ahead and do this side. No, as a matter of fact, I highly suggest actually to gluing these parts first, the sides first, so that this really doesn't get in your way when you're gluing. And I wanted to also share, she has 3 scoring lines here, but I only done one because I noticed that it contours better around here if these are not scored. That is my preference, my personal opinion. It felt much better to me to do it that way. So I only scored on top because this is the part that's going on top. And I do want a sharper edge up there since there is a corner here. You know, a 90-degree radius up here. So that's why I only scored on top here. Okay, so just wanted to share that. I haven't added, I'm going to add double-sided tape to one of these ends, but I don't want to do it yet because sometimes I get confused and I put it on the wrong side. So I'm going to adhere this on first before I do this side here. Okay, yeah, so make sure that if you're going to do what I do here, that only one side is scored and that one is facing out. So you're going to glue the longer end here to this tab. Okay, so I did glue the side piece under the score line so that it's easily, you know, we can easily fold it up. And I know that we already know this for us crafters that have been paper crafting for a while now, but there are new paper crafters that may not know that. So it's going to be a little bit monotonous that I repeat that, but I feel the need to do so for those new paper crafters that are not aware yet and they're just learning. So I will be saying that in just about every video that I have a tutorial where I have to glue something underneath the score, just to let you know. And I'm just going to go repeat this process on the other side. Okay, so I went ahead and repeated that here, and then we're just going to glue this one here. But I will not add the layer piece to this one yet because I'm not sure how I want to add my closure. But I just will adhere it to the tab here. Okay, so now that I have done that, this is where I'm going to add my dry adhesive, which is double-sided tape. Okay, this is going to be my back, and I added the layer because it makes it a lot more stiffer for me to work with, you know, to wrap this around there. And that lets me know that this is the back. It's gonna, because the front doesn't get adhered to this at all. This is the opening. So I'm gonna add the tape there. So I've already went ahead and done this side to save time. So I'm just going to, I'm gonna do it little by little. But as you can see here, I like that curvature without those extra score lines. It's much smoother. That's why I prefer just to score on the top up here. Okay? And all you're doing is following the contour. I highly suggest, which I totally forgot, to curl this. You can do it at the from the edge of your table, like run your paper like this on the edge of your table, you know, to get a curve, or you can use a bone folder. I'm just going to go ahead and use this because I totally forgot to do it ahead of time. And you get a nice curve, okay? And it helps the contour there. This is going to be challenging for me to do it on camera because I'm, you know, when I did the, when you do it, you're going to draw it close to you so that you can see what you're doing. And I feel that it's better to add the double-sided tape so you don't have to wait for it to dry if you're using wet glue. And it's an instant bond, and it's just easier for you to contour it. And I forgot to mention that you need to cut out that extra piece that's on the corner so that it can fold easier. And there you have it. It's really, these boxes are so easy to put together. That's why I OD'd in making all those other boxes. I did it for several reasons, but it was, you know, it can be quite addicting. So I'm just going to go ahead and burnish that. And you're going to find this space, and there's a reason for this space. So for these tabs here, I'm going to glue them down with wet glue. You could have added the double-sided tape on the inside as opposed to the outside on this end, but I opted not to. Glued in there, and I like that because this becomes sturdier as well. It's not thin, it's a little bit thicker, the edges. I also want to mention that Raquel suggested when you print this out, you print it out on borderless, but because these layers have been All right, now this here is for this piece here. Okay, yeah. I wasn't supposed to glue, I was supposed to leave an opening here because this tab here actually glues down here. So I highly suggest to watch the whole video before you start assembling yours. But yeah, this gets tucked in here, and this folds over, and then this gets glued down in here like that. Okay, and this flap here gets glued down to the back of your hat box. So I goofed there a little bit, and it's funny because I do it every time, and I said don't do it on the video, and I did it anyway. So I'm gonna see if I can pry it open a little bit so that I can at least tuck something in, even if I have to shorten this. Okay, so I managed to use this tool to open that up, and nothing got ripped. Yay, not even in the inside. So actually this goes folded like this. So they both go folded this way, and then the middle gets folded like this. Raquel glued this tab first down here, but since I made a boo-boo here, I'm gonna glue it this way first, okay? So remember, if you're going to do it the way that I did it, where you glue this down, just leave an opening here. Don't glue this part down. Or just glue, or wait for this, all of this to be assembled before you glue this part. Raquel did it like this so that you can actually add a magnet in here. You would add a magnet right here, but on the inside of that, so that this part encases that magnet in there and keeps it, you know, closed. Well, and keeps the magnet in place. Okay? So this was very clever of her. That was clever, Raquel. But I'm not going to put a magnet there. That's why I didn't add a magnet. Everybody doesn't have a magnet. So one of the boxes that I showed, you saw that it had a magnet, and then the other ones had ribbon closures. Almost everybody has ribbon or twine or some kind of string that they can use, or they can tear a piece of fabric and make a ribbon out of that. And your box is pretty much done. We just got to put this around here, because that's, which is this part here. So that gets glued in. So there's two ways you can put this. You can put it, attach it a 1/16 of an inch in away or inside from the edge, and the closure will be on the inside. Or you can put it on the edge and the closure will be on the outside, like this one. So it's up to you. Okay, so I'm gluing this to the inside of where those marks are, because I don't want that to show on the front side of the box. And then the glue will be adhered to the back of this, where there is no where you don't see any brown outline. And again, I'm going to use score tape because it's much quicker to adhere to the box. I'm also going to curl it. What I'm also going to do is, this is going this way, okay? And I know this is my top. So I'm going to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. On the 7th one, I'm actually going to do a slit there and cut that off. See, because that makes it better to turn in this corner like we did for here. See how much it's easier to turn there? You have to cut that part off in order for it to turn. Otherwise, it's going to be a bulk there, and you're going to have, it's going to be a little bit of a challenge. And I will be burnishing that down. It is going to make this curve a little bit, but when you add the inside layers and the outside layers, that's actually going to get fixed. Okay? And there it is. And look, it's nice and tight. It doesn't even come out. So all that's left to do is putting on the layers. I like to do the inside first. So, no, this goes this way. I'm going to curl this way because it has curve in like that. Okay, what I am going to do, you're also going to have these little things here, and these don't need to be distressed on the edges with ink at all. So I'm actually going to glue that here. And what I like, why I like doing that is because it makes it more sturdier, and it does hide those lines. Of course, you can add trim in there to hide those lines. But Raquel also created these to go on the outside of your box as a decorative element, like here. You see them there? And there's a reason for that, and we'll get to that in a moment. However, I've actually lined them in the inside of this because it makes it more sturdier here. So, I'm going to share why she created those elements once I get to the layering part on the outside. You could also use this on top of, you know, once you glue this in, you can put this on top, and there's a reason for that as well. But I'm gonna give you an alternative. I will share an alternative. So I'm make sure that's glued in place. Okay, and then when you layer this in the inside, it's gonna look like that, and it hides those extra dash lines. But again, you can also add trim around that to cover those dash lines. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and glue this in place. Okay, so I did this side already, and I added glue to the other side. Oopsie. You're going to find that there is a gap here, and the reason why that is because she wanted to make sure that these parts fit in the 8.5 by 11 PNG files to print. The alternative to that is that you can cut out, if you don't like it, you can cut out another piece of paper, the same designer paper, and just glue it there and attach it like that, which is what I did. But the reason for these, I call them arrow pieces, is so that you can actually move this more up, where it actually, you know, touches here and it closes together where these both sides meet like this. So that way you can place this on top of that, and it'll hide any gap that's there, which is the reason why she created them for the outside. She originally created them for the outside, and then a suggestion was given to her to also have it for the inside. So she went along with that. However, I do like it where it's down here, And I just cut out an extra piece, so it's just one little extra step, which is not a big deal. And I didn't measure. All I did was I placed the, you know, the paper here. And then I just, you know, folded it and cut it with my trimmer. And then I did it this way and then folded it and cut it with my trimmer. So there was absolutely no measuring at all. All right, so that's an alternative for that. And the same thing is going to happen on the top where there is going to be a gap. If you choose not to align this way, you can align it where it's a little bit further up, and then it will meet on the top. But and then that's where those pieces come in, these pieces here, that you can cover that gap. Okay. So I'm just going to go ahead and cover, you know, layer these pieces, this one, and here. And I will also put this in place. You're just basically going to do the same thing to the outside. You're just going to layer your pieces. Of course, you're going to curl them up for the outside. Okay. So I did add a strip here to cover that, and you will have a gap here, and just like there was a space in between these two sides, like that. See, there is a gap there. You decide, you know, what closure you want to put there if you want to hide that. I'm going to use, this is the closure that comes with the file. I'm going to go ahead and glue those pieces together. It's best if you score it first. No, this way. You want to align it and then fold it like this, because you want to keep a 90-degree angle, and this is the best way to do that in my opinion. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I am going to glue, if you're going to use this, the best way to use this as a closure is you glue it here. I mean, I could glue it here, and then do 2 holes here and 2 holes under on the front of the box, and put a ribbon through there. Yeah, I think I'm going to do that. I'm going to go ahead and glue this here and the closure, and create the closure here in the front. Here I did where I glue it down here, and then the closure is here on the top, and there's a magnet there, which I know that I've already said, but I will also be, the other alternative, as you can see here, is I glued it on the inside of the paper before I glued this down, and then I will create 2 holes here, and also tie it with ribbon or lace. So, you know, it's up to you how you want to close it. Then the last thing you're going to do is, this is optional, but you also created these elements here. One has scallops, like as you can see there, and the other one looks like this. So, you know, since I didn't want to put this here because you wouldn't be able to see it, it's just going to blend in with the same paper. I used the pieces that came off of these other ones to add it here. So that's where, you know, I still have to glue the paper down here. Then you will glue this in place here if you want. You know, of course it's optional. It is optional. That here, but what you want to do is you want to keep away from adding glue in this area. The width of here, you want to, because this is going to be laying on top of that, and you don't want this to glue down, otherwise you won't be able to open it, right? So add glue away from there. I would say 3/8 of an inch away, or even a 1/2 an inch. I am going to add some wet glue, but I'm also going to add hot glue to that so that it can adhere quicker, and it'll be a stronger adhesion. There you go. So I will be punching holes here and then punching holes on the front of that, and weaving a either lace or ribbon. And then the last thing to do is put the handle on. I am going to use wet glue because I want to be able to align it and have the wiggle room to be able to do that. And there you have your little hat box. I love this design. I do have to say that I enjoyed putting these boxes together, and I do like the smaller one a lot more. The bigger one is nice too because you can fit quite a bit of goodies in here, and it has a pretty wide gusset. Even the small one has a wide gusset for it being small, but of course when you size it bigger, it's going to have a much bigger gusset. So quite a bit fits in here. Again, I will have all the links in the description box below. Thank you for joining me today. All is well. Let's share, be fair, be filled with love, and love one another. Take good care, everybody.